Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and welcome Chief Marshal Provost Vincent Mano, the class of 2019, and the commencement procession.
Welcome to the 14th commencement of the Franklin W. Olin College of Engineering. To open our ceremony, we will observe a moment of remembrance. You are invited to remain silent and reflect in your own way the values of our community and on those who are no longer with us. Thank you. Please be seated. It is now my pleasure to introduce the president of Olin College, Dr. Richard K. Miller.
Well, what a great day this is. Looking forward to celebrating when we're finished. But graduates, we have to go through a few remarks before we get there, so not long left. On behalf of the faculty and staff of Olin College, let me welcome all of you to our 14th commencement ceremony. First, I want to recognize and welcome two distinguished guests who are here on the platform today, representatives from our partner institutions, Provost Mark Rice from Babson College, and Provost Andy Shannon from Wellesley College. Now I would like to take this opportunity to thank the F.W. Olin Foundation once again for their vision and philanthropy, which established this wonderful institution and ultimately made possible this day of celebration and achievement for the class of 2019. Will you please join me in thanking Mr. Bill Norton, a former director of the F.W. Olin Foundation and founding member of our Board of Trustees. Bill? I also want to extend a personal welcome and thank you to our commencement speaker, Mr. Amory Lovins. He's the co-founder and the chief scientist at Rocky Mountain Institute and a world-renowned energy innovator and consultant. Lovins has advised major firms and governments in more than 70 countries on energy efficiency. He is particularly well known for his work in designing super-efficient buildings, factories, and vehicles. Time magazine named Lovins one of the world's 100 most influential people in 2009, and Foreign Policy magazine called him one of the top 100 global thinkers. He's the recipient of 12 honorary doctorates and numerous awards, including the MacArthur Prize Fellowship. Now, I could go on with a list of awards and recognition here, but I won't in order to save him some time to speak. I know we're all looking forward to hearing more from you, Amory, in a few minutes. Now, this day is a milestone for you and your family, that's for sure. It's also a true day of celebration. In fact, this year, it's a milestone for Olin College as well, because the 1,000th alumnus of Olin is graduating today with this class. And we're easing into our teenage years as you are our 14th class to graduate and join the alumni body of adventurers, risk-takers, and visionaries that we call Olin alumni. Now, there are 78 of you graduating today from the class of 2019, and we're very proud of each and every one of you. Many of you will be heading out to graduate school at a range of places, including Carnegie Mellon, MIT, UC Berkeley, Dartmouth, and others. And it happens that this year, 3/4 of you headed to graduate school happen to be women. We're very proud of that. Nearly 1/4 of the class is graduating as Grand Challenge Scholars who have fulfilled the requirements for the National Academy of Engineering Grand Challenge Scholars Program. This program is designed to prepare students to address the most difficult and important global challenges of this century. 57 of you have already accepted positions of employment at some well-known employers like Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, GE Healthcare, Cognex, MITRE, Toyota, and many, many others. However, I note that more of you are headed to a company called Skydio this year than any other company. For those of you who don't know, Skydio, I'm proud to say, is a company founded by an Olin alumnus which makes innovative autonomous drones. And I stand here knowing now that the only thing between you and your own future and your diploma is this speech. So accordingly, I'll try to keep my remarks brief. Looking back on my own experience as a graduate, sitting where you are now, many, many years ago, I remember that feeling of incredible excitement mixed with anxiety. Standing on the edge of an adventure can be exhilarating, but also daunting. You have spent the last 4 years in a familiar place with dedicated faculty alongside you, with friends who have similar values and interests, who are just a few steps away, and having meals made for you 3 times a day. What's not to love about the Olin bubble? But now it's time for you to leave, okay? Ready or not, and step out into the world. This is also the time for bigger questions to bubble up. Who am I going to become? Will I be successful? Where will this adventure of life lead me in the ultimate sense? I'm going to guess that these kinds of questions are buried somewhere in your mind right now. And when young people on the cusp of launching their careers think about what they most want out of life, surveys show they most consistently point to career success in the workplace as a top goal, followed by recognition and wealth. In fact, last year's commencement speaker talked a lot about that, how to be successful in the workplace. Increasingly, though, now we hear young people want to make a positive difference in the world, too. That will most likely resonate with all of you because doing good in the world is one of our core values at Olin. But today, I'm going to ask you to add a slightly different life goal to your list: happiness. I'm also going to ask you to do something fairly radical in this day and age. I'm going to ask you to put it at the top of your list of life goals. In order to do this, you may need to edit your playbook a little, because we're finding that the recipe for success that we all routinely rely on, which is work hard, lean in, and push yourself, doesn't always add up to a happy life. Let me explain a little bit about what I mean by happiness. There is science to this, believe it or not, and as engineers, we always want to look at the data, right? So the Gallup Sharecare Well-Being Index measures the overall well-being of populations worldwide based on behavioral economics and healthcare research. This index measures much more than career success. It includes a sense of purpose in your life, social connectedness, belonging within a community, a sense of financial security, and leading a healthy lifestyle. 5 dimensions. And now, in November of 2017, National Geographic provided an overview of happiness around the globe using this metric. They found the happiest countries in the world are Costa Rica, Denmark, and Singapore. Now, the United States lags behind in this metric, even though our average annual income is higher. Why is this? Not surprisingly, some researchers think they might have an answer. For 81 years, the Harvard Study of Adult Development has been looking at the lives of more than 700 people. They study physical and mental well-being, and it began in 1938 and asked men, yes, they were mostly men in the beginning, a series of detailed questions every 2 years. These people were initially teenagers, but aged into adulthood. They came from all walks of life. Some were Harvard graduates. Some came from Boston's inner cities. President John F. Kennedy was among them. They became doctors and plumbers and accountants and bricklayers. Some of them thrived and others didn't. Many reached the heights of their careers and many others did not. There are roughly 70 surviving members of this original study today, and today their children and their wives are part of the study as well. After 8 decades of study, thousands of hours of interviews, reviews of brain scans and mental records and medical records, some answers are becoming clear. The secret to a happy and healthy life is, are you ready for this? Meaningful relationships, good ones. The social connectedness you get from your true friends, a spouse, your community, and your family are key to keeping you happier. It's not the number of connections or relationships that you have. I'm sorry to tell you that it's not the number of likes on your Facebook page, but the depth and warmth of those connections that's important. It's not the absence of conflict that matters, it's the presence of commitment. Meaningful friends are those you can count on. They have your back when things go really wrong. And sooner or later, things will go wrong. Meaningful relationships allow you to talk about important matters with other people whom you know. Unfortunately, in the last 30 years, many studies now show that the number of people we share important matters with has declined by more than 50%. Our circle of meaningful friendships is declining. What's more, the study found that as we age, loneliness can actually be harmful. The researchers noted that the adults in the study who were lonely and without important social connections were less happy, and their brain functions declined more quickly. They also lived shorter lives. The people who were most satisfied with their relationships at age 50 were some of the healthiest at age 80. Now, I'm sure you're not thinking about being age 80 at this point, but I think you should consider the possibility that you might live that long. Being in a good, warm relationship, it turns out, protects our health and our brain. As I look at all that you're doing just at the beginning of your life's journey, I'm asking you to put happiness at the top of your bucket list. While I believe you already have a good start, after all, Princeton Review ranked Olin number 11 in the nation last fall in the category of happiest students. You may not yet realize how really important this is. So keep it up. In order to retain happiness throughout your life, I want you to keep working hard, yes, and work on things that matter, of course, but also work hard on maintaining your meaningful friendships. Push yourself to maintain those deep commitments that lead to happiness. Lean into those social activities that make you feel good and bring purpose and meaning. Do good in the world. It's good for your well-being too. In the end, I truly believe that working hard, leaning in, and pushing yourself in this way will leave you happier and healthier. And that's what I want most for each of you. And I bet your family does too. And now, in honor of the happiness study, I ask everyone here to take a moment sometime today to show your appreciation for your inner circle. Give them a hug or a high five, because they are the ones who not only supported you to get you to this point today, but their love and commitment is the key to your long-term happiness and well-being too. So wherever you go now, may the road rise up to meet you, and may the wind always be at your back. Godspeed to each one of you, and good luck in all that you do. Thank you.
I would now like to introduce Kenneth Stokes, who is representing the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Vin, and thank you, Rick. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of Olin College of Engineering, it's a privilege to add my welcome to the class of 2019, their families and friends, our many other guests, and indeed the entire Olin community to this, the 14th commencement of the college. As the father of an Olin graduate, I'm especially pleased to welcome the parents to today's very special celebration. Although it's been 7 years since my son walked across this stage, I still share in the pride and excitement that you are undoubtedly feeling as your children, now young adults, are about to complete their Olin College experience and embark on the next exciting chapter in their lives. Borrowing liberally from Billy Collins, a former poet laureate of the United States, I want to start off by letting everyone know two things. First, my comments today will focus almost exclusively on giving thanks. Second, I'm only going to speak for about 9 minutes. You deserve to know that this will be a finite experience because it's generally accepted in the world of public speaking that there is no pleasure you can give an audience like the pleasure they receive when you're done. And you can look forward to enjoying that pleasure about 9 minutes from now. Let me continue. Speaking first to today's graduates. On behalf of the board and the college, We want to thank you for your enthusiastic participation in the great educational experiment that is Olin College. More importantly, we want to thank you for the role you played in co-creating your Olin education. You worked incredibly hard, both individually and in groups, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom, both on campus and in places far away from the Olin bubble. You no doubt tried and failed again, and on occasion perhaps never actually achieved your desired goal, but you learned nonetheless. You will leave well prepared to ask the right questions, solve the toughest problems, and make new and wonderful things happen. Over the last 4 years, you likely experienced joy and frustration, made many new friends, slept way too little, and perhaps even shed a few tears along the way. But hopefully, more than anything else, you enjoyed earning your Olin degree. It's a degree we've long believed is exceptional. It's also a degree that people well beyond Needham are increasingly beginning to recognize as coming from perhaps one of the finest undergraduate engineering educational institutions in the world. Thanks in part to the study published by MIT last year, but more importantly, to the quality of our graduates. The notoriety and acclaim that Olin continues to enjoys continues to grow in leaps and bounds. So again, I would like to say to the class of 2019, thank you. We couldn't have done it without you. Turning my attention now to your parents. Thank you for raising, guiding, putting up with, and supporting the exceptional children who ultimately found their way to and through Olin College. Thank you for the years of loving guidance and encouragement you provided the young adults sitting before me today. Support provided in ways perhaps obvious and perhaps not so obvious that as bright and talented as they are, I suspect they may not fully appreciate and understand for many years to come. I know they could not have done it without you. Since gatherings of the Olin community of this scale are somewhat infrequent, I want to turn my attention away from today's graduates briefly and take a moment to thank 4 people who have played critical roles in building the foundation upon which Olin has achieved its success. First among these, and this is going to sound a lot like what Rick said earlier, I want to thank Larry Milas and Bill Morton. Larry and Bill are founding trustees, former chairs of the Olin board, and as former chairs of the Olin Foundation, they were instrumental in the conceptualization and creation of Olin College. Both remain active today in assuring its success. They are 2 gentlemen I'm always proud to share the stage with, and although Larry could not be here with us today, Bill is here, as Rick introduced earlier. Thank you again, Bill. I want them both to know that we as a community will be eternally grateful for all they have done and continue to do for the college. Of course, woven into the fabric of Olin day in and day out, there are hundreds of faculty, staff, students, and others who contribute to making the Olin educational experience so special. Not wanting to diminish their importance in the least, since at Olin it really does take a village, I nevertheless want to turn the spotlight on 2 other individuals that in a sense are also graduating from Olin in 2019. Steve Hannaberry, up here somewhere, and Vin Mono are the 2 gentlemen I'm about to speak about. Steve retired from his role as Executive Vice President in March after nearly 20 years of service at Olin, and Vin will be stepping down as Provost next month after nearly 8 years of service. While they are not joining the ranks of the alumni, they are joining the emeritus ranks of Olin this year. Both Steve and Vin have been instrumental in helping Olin grow up. They have made countless important contributions in their respective leadership roles that few beyond the cabinet, faculty, and the boardroom are probably even aware of. While time doesn't allow me to share the long list of major contributions they have made, I want to highlight just a few. They range from the planning and construction of the campus itself to the reinvention of the faculty manual, from the recruitment of the college's earliest faculty and staff to the more recent creation of a completely new paradigm in faculty recruiting, from the highly entrepreneurial approach to how we manage our healthcare costs to the visionary creation of an integrated academic life program that unites all student-facing aspects of Olin into a single organization. Executive Vice President Emeritus Steve Hannaberry and soon-to-be Provost Emeritus Vin Mono have received these honorific titles in recognition of their outstanding contributions to the college over many years. Steve and Vin's figurative fingerprints, although invisible, are all over the diplomas today's graduates are about to receive, and I offer them both Olin's most heartfelt thanks for their service. Now, directing my remarks again toward the soon-to-be graduates of Olin, I want to turn to the legacy of another engineer, Franklin W. Olin. Mr. Olin's entrepreneurial success in a variety of business pursuits yielded great wealth, wealth that in an exceptionally generous act of philanthropy he used to create the Olin Foundation more than 80 years ago. It was a foundation that funded the construction of 78 buildings on 58 campuses across the country during its 6 decades of operation, all before providing the nearly $1.5 billion gift that enabled the creation of Olin College. And while this may not be news to anyone here today, it leads me to make the following request of today's graduates. Because it was the hope of the Olin Foundation, and it is a hope shared by the college, that in addition to leaving the college with an exceptional engineering education, you would leave with an appreciation for the importance of philanthropy in making the world a better place. As Olin students, it's something you've benefited from and very likely already begun to practice through one of the college's many community service initiatives. So on behalf of the college and the Board of Trustees, we ask the members of the class of 2019 to abide by the college's founding precepts and do good for humankind. But as you pursue your dreams, we also call upon you to emulate Mr. Olin himself and to support the causes and organizations that are important to you with your time, your talents, and your treasure. This sentiment underlying this request is perhaps best captured in the words of Winston Churchill, who said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." Now, in closing, just in case anyone thinks I've forgotten to recognize and thank President Miller, Olin's first employee, who himself will be stepping down a little over a year from now, you just have to come back next year. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and the college, I wish you all abundant health, great happiness, and much success in the years ahead. Congratulations to the Olin College class of 2019.
I would now like to introduce Emma Price, who will bring greetings from the class of 2019.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here today, and thank you to the Commencement Committee for allowing me to welcome all of you to Commencement. When I found out that I would be giving this welcome, like any good Olin student, I procrastinated for a really long time. And then I started to prepare. I talked to last year's student speaker, Nur, about his speech, and then I watched it. And I'm happy to report that Nur gave a great speech. Most of you guys were here, so you remember it. It was really good. And it did everything that you would want in a commencement greeter. He welcomed everyone to commencement and thanked everyone in the tent for what they had done to make Olin great. And I thought, well, that's cool, but I'm just gonna talk about myself. And turns out I can, because Rayanne said that there were no rules to this speech. So buckle up. Okay. Some of you may remember my public speaking debut 2 years ago at the inaugural Olin Story Slam. Myself and the other Olin students that participated spent the semester before creating personal stories that we performed at each candidate's weekend. That was the first time that I had ever written a story about myself. I, like a lot of incoming Olin students, was not super into writing when I started here. I'm still not the biggest fan, even though I thought it was a great idea to write this speech. And I really struggled to find my voice, to figure out how my story actually mattered, to make sure I sounded like me. And after months of work with Jillian Epstein, Olin's Writing Initiatives Specialist, and Professor John Adler, I was finally there. I had created my fabulous, intelligent, beautiful story about how much I loved going to McDonald's. And I know that a story about hanging out at the Golden Arches with my friends doesn't sound like much, and really it wasn't, but it made me feel, as have so many other things at Olin, that another part of my true identity had clicked into place. And performing that story for a room full of prospective Olin students helped me understand and celebrate the seemingly pointless things that I like to do, like eating too much fast food with my friends. It might be hard to believe, but I have gone to other places besides Mickey D's. I actually studied abroad last year in Northern Ireland, and when I was there, I was pretty worried about making friends. It's so easy to make friends here at Olin. I was worried that I didn't have the necessary skills for friend making with non-weird people. And after I got to Ireland, all of the international students had about a week of those usual orientation activities where you're starting to get to know people and it's really awkward and uncomfortable. And in this case, because it was international students, there's like a dozen different first languages. And unlike Olin, there were no friend-making shortcuts of working on projects every minute, eating all our meals together, and generally spending all of our waking hours with the same people. So I decided that the best course of action was to go up to one of my flatmates, who is another American student studying there, and say, I'm really bad about going out until I'm individually asked, so if you're ever going out, will you ask me so that I actually do it? And she said yes, and it was really scary, but asking for help and showing that I was scared felt really freeing, and it worked. We were friends. And we're all about to go off into different places, and there are probably going to be a lot of non-weird people around, so if you want to borrow my friend-making tip, go for it. It's been 100% successful for me the one time that I tried it. But I don't always have to use that weird technique to make friends. Sometimes I make friends like a normal Olin student, by being put on a team of people who don't have a choice whether I am on that team or not. And this was the case with the Education Research Group, which is the team that I have been on the longest at Olin. It's headed by Professors Zhenya Zastafker and John Stolk, and Jeremy Goodman, who is Olin's Vice President for Administrative Services and Innovation, who has the longest title in the world, but I'm standing at the podium, so it's okay. Anyway, they created the group that analyzes and investigates a bunch of different topics related to engineering education practice. And 4 years ago, I came into the group like a lot of college first years. I had almost no skills. I hated reflecting and sitting in spaces of negative feeling and mulling over deep topics, but education research has taught me how to do those things, all while becoming my home at Olin. A home that was so important that when I was living abroad and we were writing an abstract to submit to a conference, I twice video chatted with them from the back of a passenger bus. A group that would spend 3 weeks worth of meetings making a recruiting flyer with our faces on it just to try to get more members, and it worked. We actually now have 10 people. And a team of 10 people that get together for team bonding every 2 weeks and dance along to Just Dance YouTube videos for about 4 hours. And there's nothing like watching 9 bad dancers, plus David Freeman, who is my fabulous dancing partner, follow along to Crazy in Love that will make you as bonded as a team could ever be. You all have provided me with a sense of belonging, creativeness, thought, love, and some amazing dance moves. So, as promised, I just talked about myself for 4.5 minutes and told some weird stories. But throughout my time at Olin, I've come to realize just how important that is. The stories we share and the connections that we have with people really matter. Whether it is standing up in front of a room of hundreds of people, asking someone to be your friend, or creating a community with a sense of belonging. I hope that as we all go out into the world and do whatever cool stuff it is that we want to do, that we find more ways to share our stories, make connections, and find community. And I want to thank everyone in this tent for making Olin a place where I can find my voice, be emotionally vulnerable, feel at home, and just talk about myself for 5 minutes at commencement. And thank you all for being my friends, even if you didn't really have a choice.
I would now like to introduce Professor Aaron Hoffman, who will bring greetings from the faculty and staff of Olin College.
On behalf of the faculty, greetings. First and foremost, wow, it wasn't the laugh line. First and foremost, a warm welcome to the graduating class of 2019. You've had some fantastic successes on your road here. You've had some even more fantastic stumbles. And you've made it to this time and place by how you've responded to those stumbles, right? You've recovered, you've learned the lessons you needed to learn, you've had the feelings you need to feel, but you get over it and you throw yourself into your next project, and that's a really amazing thing. It's not a thing a person figures out how to do all by themselves, and it's not a thing a person figures out how to do unless they feel safe and loved and supported. So what I'd like you to do is think about somebody in this tent who has helped get you to the place you are now, who has given you the support you need and gifted you with the courage that you need to be able to take risks and accept failures and move on. Okay? Great. On behalf of the faculty, greetings to the parents and families who've watched their babies grow to reach this time and this place. Thank you for giving us such great students. Your pride is well justified. Greetings also to the staff. You do a lot of work behind the scenes, not all of it pleasant. And you take a lot of blame in public, not all of it pleasant. And every action of yours for the past 4 years have been to help these students reach this milestone. So welcome and thank you. Greetings to everyone who's gone through a rough time and has been buoyed and supported by the love of this community. Greetings to the students who've served as ninjas. You've been indispensable. Our program would be unrecognizable without you. Greetings to the leaders of this college. A program is nothing without vision and leadership. So I hope you're all feeling welcomed on behalf of the faculty now. A standard trope in graduation speech is the giving of advice, and no professor would shy away from that. Like any good scholar, I started with a Google search and I found a lot of advice online. Some of it contradictory, and so I thought I would add something novel to the literature of graduation advice. I'm going to talk to you today, as I've talked to you every day for the past 4 years, about eigenvectors. Okay. For those of you who have not taken a math class in a while, please regard this as an exercise in empathy for the students. Mathematicians have this word recall that we use to mean, I am not responsible for teaching you this thing, nor do I expect you to know it. And so in class, we're always referencing formulas and ideas and scientific principles and building knowledge upon knowledge. And every once in a while, the students in the class have not quite mastered the base upon which we are building. And it can be a very uncomfortable feeling, but rolling with uncertainty when you're out of your depth is a great skill, and these students have it in spades, and it's what makes them such a pleasure to teach. Okay, so thumbs up if you're ready to give this a shot. Yeah, thank you, okay. I only have 3 minutes left, so it can't be that bad. So my advice is inspired by the science fiction classic Ender's Game, and the slogan, the enemy's gate is down. So I think we're all nerds here, but just in case you're not familiar with the story, it features a game that is played in zero gravity, and all of the kids, except one, cling to the notion of up and down from a world with gravity. And it's only Ender, our hero, who realizes that in zero gravity, up and down is a state of mind. Okay? So the enemy's gate is down. Now, mathematically, what Ender is saying is every problem has a good coordinate system. Right? And you've seen this in your mechanics class with inclined planes. You want to orient the axis according to the plane, right? And more abstractly, when we do signals and systems, the frequency domain is really nothing more than a coordinate system for signals, right? It's just another way to represent what you're talking about. So a coordinate system is something very broad. It's a way of describing things you care about that informs the solutions you develop. And choosing a coordinate system is a key step in solving a problem. But Ender's actually saying more than just it's important to choose the right coordinate system. Right? He's saying you need to quiet your biases. You need to listen to the data. Right? In Bayesian jargon, you need to flatten your prior. Right? And if you do this, you can find the right coordinate system. And it's also something you've seen in your education. After all, the principal axes of inertia of a rigid body are nothing more than the eigenvectors of the inertia tensor, right? If you listen to the rigid body, it will tell you what coordinate system to use, okay? And more abstractly, in the field of data science, we learn that the singular vectors of the data matrix, they extract for us the eigenfeatures and the eigenpersonas that describe the data. Right? The data will tell us its preferred coordinate system if we just listen to it. Okay? Pretty remarkable, you know? You could replicate the personality classification of Myers and Briggs. This isn't how they did it, but you could do it this way, right? Just by projecting onto the 4 dominant eigenpersonalities taken from the survey data. It would work. All right? So please remember that to get a good coordinate system, you have to listen to the data. Ideologues don't solve big problems. This world needs an infusion of young people who are willing to tackle big problems. So Ender quieted his bias that came from a world with gravity, and he looked at his data to the battle room to define its natural coordinate system for him. The enemy's gate is down. The mark of the scholar is to re-examine one's own beliefs and to always look to data for answers. An openness to data, a willingness to update your beliefs and biases. It's the greatest gift that an education can confer on you. Right? So in the friendships you make and the projects you tackle and the way you live your life, I ask that you keep this scholarly attitude close to your heart. Class of 2019, take a look around you. We're so very proud of you. The world's before you, and there's so much work to be done. Enjoy this day and this place. And when you return to your work, remember that the eigenvectors are everywhere, and remember that the enemy's gate is down.
I am now pleased to introduce Amory Lovins, co-founder of the Rocky Mountain Institute.
Thank you. Today, your talent and hard work are recognized. You prepare to begin your next chapter and apply your passions and talents and skills to realize your purpose. I could ask you, in the words of the poet Mary Oliver, tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? But what I want instead to reflect with you about is your mood, the spirit in which you live your life. Even on this joyous day, I wonder if some of you might be a bit down about the state of the world, about the burdens that my generation has imposed on yours. If not, these remarks won't hurt, but if so, they might help. The early pioneer, Bill McLarney, was stirring a vat of algae in his Costa Rica Research Center when a brassy North American lady strode in. What, she demanded, was he doing stirring a vat of green goo when what the world really needs is love? There's theoretical love, Bill replied, and then there's applied love, and he kept on stirring. Many of us here stir and strive in a spirit of applied hope. We work to make the world better, not from some airy theoretical hope, but in the pragmatic and grounded conviction that starting with hope and acting out of hope can cultivate a different kind of world worth being hopeful about, reinforcing itself in a virtuous spiral. Applied hope is not about some vague, far-off future, but rather is expressed and created moment by moment through our choices. Hope, said Francis Moore-Lepay, is a stance, not an assessment. But applied hope is not mere glandular optimism. The optimist treats the future as fate, not choice, and thus fails to take responsibility for making the world we want. Applied hope is a deliberate choice of head and heart. The optimist, says David Orr, has his feet up on the desk and a satisfied smirk, knowing the deck is stacked. The person living in applied hope has her sleeves rolled up and is fighting hard to change or beat the odds. Optimism can easily mask cowardice. Applied hope requires fearlessness. Fear of specific and avoidable dangers certainly has evolutionary value. Nobody has ancestors who were not mindful of saber-toothed tigers. But pervasive dread, promoted by some who want to keep us pickled in fear, is numbing and demotivating. You can't depress people into action. When I give a talk, sometimes a questioner details the many bad things happening in the world and all the suffering in the universe, and asks how I dare propose solutions. Isn't resistance futile? And the only response I found is to ask as gently as I can, no, I can see why you feel that way. Tell me, does feeling like that make you more effective? In a college class, rather recently, one young woman bemoaned so many global problems that she said she had lost all hope and couldn't imagine bringing a child into such a world. But as we talked about it, it quickly became obvious to both of us that she hadn't lost hope at all. She knew exactly where she'd left it. The most solid foundations for feeling better about the future is to improve it tangibly, durably, reproducibly, scalably. So now is the time to be practitioners, not theorists, to be synthesists, not specialists, to do solutions, not problems, to do transformation, not incrementalism. Or, as my mentor Edwin Land said, don't undertake a project unless it is manifestly important and nearly impossible. It's time to shift our language and our action, as my wife Judy says, from somebody should to I will. To do real work on real projects and to go to scale. As that early visionary St. Francis of Assisi said, preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words. In a world short of both hope and time, we need to practice Raymond Williams' truth that to be truly radical is to make hope possible, not despair convincing. Hope becomes possible, practical, even profitable, when advanced resource efficiency turns scarcity into plenitude. David Whyte's poem, Loaves and Fishes, captures that goal. Thus, he writes, "This is not the age of information. This is not the age of information. Forget the news and the radio and the blurred screen. This is the time of loaves and fishes. People are hungry and one good word is bread for 1,000. So with the world so finely balanced between fear and hope, with the outcome in suspense and a whiff of momentous shift in the air, let us choose to add the small, stubborn ounces of our weight on the side of applied hope. As Zen master Goto Roshi said, infinite gratitude toward all things past, infinite service to all things present, infinite responsibility to all things future. This mission is challenging. It requires you to combine sizzle in your brain, fire in your belly, perseverance rooted like a redwood, and soul as light as a butterfly. According to the internet, one Michael C. Muhammad said or wrote, "Everything works out right in the end. If things are not working out right, it's not the end yet." Don't let it bother you. Relax and keep on going. So in this tranquil but unwavering spirit of applied hope, let me tell you a story. In the late 1950s, the Dayak people in Borneo had malaria. The World Health Organization had a solution: spray DDT everywhere, and they did. The mosquitoes died, the malaria declined. So far, so good. But there were side effects. For example, the roofs of the houses in some areas started falling down on people's heads. So, and that was because the DDT had also killed tiny parasitic wasps that had previously controlled the thatch-eating caterpillars, which munched up the roof thatching. So the colonial government addressed this problem by giving people sheet metal roofs, but then people were in great distress because the noise of the tropical rain on the tin roofs kept them from sleeping all night. And meanwhile, according to some accounts, the DDT poison bugs were eaten by geckos, which were eaten by cats, or in other stories, the cats simply licked the DDT that had stuck to their fur when they rubbed against the walls of the longhouse, and they licked it off. Either way, the cats died, and without the cats, the rats flourished and multiplied, and soon the World Health Organization was threatened with potential outbreaks of typhus and sylvatic plague, which it would itself have created. So they had to call in the Royal Air Force from Singapore to conduct Operation Cat Drop, parachuting live cats into Borneo. You can't make this stuff up, and I didn't. For details, see the November 2008 American Journal of Public Health, or you can find some of it at catdrop.com. A friend of mine, by the way, recently consulted with Dayak elders and indeed was told that, yes, one day cats fell from the sky. Now, this story is our guiding parable at Rocky Mountain Institute because it shows that if you don't understand how things are connected, quite often the cause of problems is solutions. And most of today's big problems are like that. But we can harness hidden connections so the cause of solutions is solutions. So we solve, or better still, avoid a problem in a way that solves or avoids a lot of other problems too, without making new ones before somebody has to go parachuting more cats. So join me, if you would, in envisioning where these linked multiplying solutions can lead if you apply and extend what you've learned and take responsibility for creating the world you want. Imagine a world a few short generations hence where spacious, peppy, ultra-safe, 125 to 300 mile per gallon equivalent cars whisper through revitalized cities and towns and convivial suburbs and fertile, prosperous countryside, burning no oil and emitting nothing, or at most pure drinking water, where sprawl is no longer mandated and subsidized, so stronger families eat better food on front porches, and kids free of obesity, diabetes, and asthma play in thriving neighborhoods, where most people are already where they want to be, so they don't need to be always going somewhere else, where new buildings and plugged-in parked cars can produce enough surplus energy to power the now efficient old buildings, where most buildings produce more energy than they use, where buildings look like they grew there, and they make people healthier, happier, and more productive, creating delight when entered, serenity and productivity and health when occupied, regret when departed. Imagine a world where oil and gas and coal and nuclear energy have all been phased out, all vanquished by the efficiency and renewables, whose lower costs and risks have already enabled them to capture most of the world's market for new electrical services, where integrative design has shrunk energy needs by severalfold to manyfold, supporting a thriving world with less energy than today, where resilient, right-sized energy systems make major failures impossible, not inevitable, where the collapse of oil's demand and price has defunded enemies, undermined dictatorship and corruption, and doused the Mideast tinderbox, where our advanced economy is no longer fueled at all by the rotted remains of primeval swamp goo and dinosaur poop, where energy policy is no longer a gloomy multiple choice test. Do you prefer to die from A, climate change, B, oil wars, or C, nuclear holocaust? We choose D, none of the above. Imagine, therefore, a world where carbon emissions have long been steadily declining at a vast profit because saving fuel costs much less than buying fuel, where global climate has stabilized and repair has begun, and where this planetary near-death experience has made antisocial and unacceptable the arrogance that let cleverness imperil the whole human prospect by outrunning wisdom. Imagine a world where the successful industries, rather than wasting 99.98% of their materials, follow Ray C. Anderson's lead. They take nothing, they waste nothing, they do no harm. Where the cost of waste is driving unnatural capitalism extinct in favor of natural capitalism. Where service providers and their customers prosper by doing more and better with less for longer, so products become ever more efficient to make and to use. Where integrative engineering and biomimicry create abundance by design, and where elegant frugality turns scarcities and conflicts about energy, water, land, minerals into enough for all, forever. Imagine a world where the war against the earth is over, where we stopped treating soil like dirt, forests are expanding, farms emulate natural ecosystems, rivers run clean, oceans are starting to recover, fish and wildlife are returning, and a stabilizing, radically resource-efficient human population needs ever less of the world's land and metabolism, leaving more for all the relatives who give us life. Imagine a world where we don't just know more, we also know better, where over-specialization and reductionism have gone from thrillingly fashionable to unaffordably foolish, where Darwin finally beat Descartes, where vision across boundaries triumphs simply because it works better and costs less. Imagine a world secure, free from fear of privation or attack, where conflict prevention is as normal as fire prevention, where conflicts not avoided are peacefully resolved through strengthened international laws, norms, and institutions, where threatened aggression is reliably deterred or defeated by non-provocative defense that makes others feel and be more secure, not less, where all people can be nourished, healthy, and educated, and where all know Dr. King's truth, that peace is not the absence of war, it's the presence of justice. Imagine a world where reason, diversity, tolerance, and democracy are once again ascendant, where economic and religious fundamentalism are obsolete, where tyranny is odious, rare, failing, and dwindling, and where global consciousness has transcended fear to live and strive in hope, in applied hope. This is the astonishing world we are all gradually creating together. It's being built before our eyes by many of you and a myriad other world weavers. Brains, as Clifford and Libba Pinchot note, are evenly distributed, one per person. So most of the world's brains are in the South, half are in the heads of women, most are in the heads of poor people. And as an emerging global nervous system and millions of new civil society organizations start to knit together that collective intelligence, the most powerful thing in the known universe, innovation and collaboration are starting to overcome stagnation and squabbles. The search for intelligent life on Earth continues, but as we all strive to become much higher primates, some promising specimens are turning up just in time, each of you here today. In their many ways, they're mobilizing society's most potent forces, businesses in mindful markets, citizens in vibrant civil society, to do what is necessary at this pivotal moment, the most important moment since we walked out of Africa, the moment when humanity has exactly enough time starting now. Each of you can choose to be one of those unusual people who, with humor and courage, chutzpah and humility, eager enthusiasm and relentless patience, are composing their lives and combining their efforts to make it so. Here we are. And now imagine the power of all of us together to make it so. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the candidates for Bachelor of Science degrees. Those who have completed their requirements have been recommended by the faculty to the Board of Trustees to receive the degree of Bachelor of Science in recognition of their academic accomplishments. Will the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the power granted to Olin College by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and by the authority given to me by the Board of Trustees, I do hereby confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science in Electrical and Computer Engineering, or Mechanical Engineering, according to the degree you have earned and the requirements you have completed, with all of the attendant rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining to this degree. That means you can move this little dangly thing to the other side. Now I'd like to ask the class of 2019 to turn around toward their families and express their appreciation for all of the love and support that have helped get you to this point today. I would like to ask the class now to look to the right and the left and show their appreciation for the help and support of the faculty and staff of the college, who've also helped. Please be seated. To present the graduates, I now call on Provost Vincent Mano, will be assisted in the distribution of the diplomas by Mrs. Linda Canavan, Associate Dean for Academic Programs and Registrar. Please hold your applause for each graduate until their name and the 15-word passage that they have each given us to read have been completed. The first row of graduates may stand now and approach the stage.
Sarah Lynn Elizabeth Ballantyne.
The future cannot be predicted, but futures can be invented. Thank you, endlessly support team.
Sarah Rose Barden.
Thank you, Dad and Erica, and to my friends and professors at Olin and Wellesley.
Matthew Budwan Lafont.
Everyone pull out your phone and go to mattandjaredjustgraduated.com.
Jared Briskman.
Once again, that URL is mattandjaredjustgraduated.com.
Catherine Elizabeth Butler.
Roses are red, blue bins are blue. It's been great sharing memories with you.
Serena Chen.
Roses are red, I've heard trees are green. Here's to the class of 2019.
Miguela Chang.
To love what you do and feel that it matters, how could anything be better?
Young Jamie Cho.
Free.
Margaret Maeve Crawford.
They see me rollin', they hatin'.
Daniel English Doherty.
I am the gatekeeper of my own destiny, and I will have my glory days in the hot sun.
Uma Desai.
Thanks to my lovely family, friends, and the Panini Bar for some amazing years. I love you.
Max Conrad Dietrich.
If nothing else, I've learned all the uses for a Post-it note.
Haoshin Du. Coleman Carl Ellis.
Thanks to Brad and Siddhartan, I hope you both get to take a break soon.
Sean Christopher Foley.
I've never been lost, but I once was bewildered about my location for several days.
Jeremiah Andrew Garcia.
Someone once told me, "Don't be an idiot." It changed my life. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Chloe Brooke Grubb.
The commencement programs are recyclable. The reception plates, cups, and napkins are compostable.
Lauren Emily Sinclair Gulland.
8 semesters later, and the class of 2019 has finally finished ISIM. You're welcome.
Kevin Liu Guo.
Trash in, trash out.
Andrew Thomas Holmes.
Thanks to everyone's support throughout Olin. I only found this place taking a Babson tour.
Alexander Hoppy.
Thanks, Olin. You taught me exactly how many hours are in a day. Not enough.
Jonathan Jacobs.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. How is he graduating too?
Su Min Chang.
Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. Learn from Stitch, Olin.
Mary Morgan Keenan.
Thank you, Mom and Dad, for your support, and also Kim Kardashian, my #1 inspiration.
Caitlin Keel.
I learned to ask the most important question. Have you tried Googling it?
Liv Maria Kelly.
To my class, thanks for the late night laughter and all that you've taught me.
Cedric Sam Kim.
Huge shout out to my mom and dad who have supported me through all of these years.
Claire Elizabeth Kincaid.
I got a degree. I got a cool job. I got a rock.
Emily Rose Kohler.
I'm grateful to be able to share this moment with you all.
Anne Koo.
Don't be limited by what you know. Thank you, Olin, for provoking a newfound curiosity in me.
Justin Harawaki Kunamune.
Ciao, sorakara donkon no napilin, uslopevo fitilion on menok banania Stay flat, comrades.
Leon Lamb.
What's the difference between roast beef and pea soup? Anyone can roast beef.
Linnea Elizabeth Laux.
Thanks to family, friends, and everyone who helped carry me through the hard times. Congratulations, 2019.
Erica Jane Lee.
Thanks to friends and family, especially Rocky, for getting me through these last 4 years.
Joseph Patrick Lee.
Thank you to everyone who supported me and helped me get to this point.
Audrey Elizabeth Whitaker Lewis.
Look, finally walking on a stage I didn't build. Thanks, everyone. It's been totally awesome.
John Casper Mathai.
I'm on Earth to accomplish certain things. Currently, I'm so behind I'll never die. Calvin.
Stephen E. Meyer.
There is a car built.
Eric Sebastian Miller.
I would like to say a few words. Here they are: nitwit, blubber, oddment, and tweak.
Carl Richard Moser. Samuel Myers.
Getting your car towed is basically just expensive valet parking. Life's more fun that way.
Louise Nielsen.
Good morning.
Ariana Veronique Olson.
Thank you to everyone who supported me on this journey. I've grown because of you.
Charlie Harper Owen.
If the most important thing we learn is from books, we're doing it wrong.
Andrew Pan.
My name is Jeff Pfluger, and these are the best 15 words I've ever read.
David Papp.
Thank you to all my friends and family.
Sungwoo Park.
Excelsior.
Ian Paul.
They say, if you love something, let it go. So I'll see y'all next semester.
Paige Elizabeth Fenninger.
Olin taught me to learn and to solve problems using copious amounts of hot glue.
Gwyneth America Phelps.
Thanks to my family for supporting me all these years.
Emma Jane Price.
Thanks to my family. As my mom says, you've been supportive, like a good bra.
Lauren Pudvin.
It's official. I'm changing my title to Electron Wrangler.
Apurva Raman.
Thank you. I rose in love with this place, and I fondly say my goodbyes.
Arpan Rao.
Thanks, Mom and Dad, for being the best parents any child could ask for.
March Elaine Saper.
At this momentous, meaningful, and most memorable of moments, I'd like to just say that
Maximilian E. Schomer.
interesting, this student isn't on the list of people allowed to graduate.
Nicole Lynn Schubert.
Danny, you are the best sister ever. Karen and Jason, thanks for being there too.
Alexander Lee Yee Scott.
4 years, 1 degree, and 0 deportations. I call that a win.
Taylor McKinley Sheneman.
Let's go make some awesome mistakes.
Katia Sultan.
My resume has been transformed. Proficiencies include Olin speak, good morning sunshine smiles, and proper squawking.
Jonah Isaiah Spear.
I thought of something funny to say, but I forgot.
Taya Marie Stockman.
Thank you to everyone who has supported me over the years. Tuta onana tena.
Talia Rachel Tandler.
Thanks for welcoming me into this community. I'm grateful for my time here with everyone.
Willem David Thorbeck.
Thanks, Mom, Dad, Mariko, Kathy, Christy, and Lauren for supporting me through it all.
Isaac Vandor.
I have some important news to share. I'm not vegan. Love you, family and friends.
Regina Marie Walker.
Many thanks to all those who've helped me get to this stage of my life.
Maximilian Andrew Way.
Thanks to my family and friends for their unconditional love and support. I'm deeply grateful.
Kimberly B. Winter.
Thank you to my teammates, professors, parents, friends, Allison, Katie, and Lucci. Much love, Kimber.
Daniel Elias Wolf.
To quote Mark Somerville, solid technical content, train wreck of a presentation.
Jingi Shu.
Olin is like avocado ice cream. It's real good, real weird, and real cold.
Rachel Sanin Yang.
All my love and gratitude to Oma, Tiff, Sam, Liz, Neil, and Appa. De Danhi Kamsa Hamnida.
Nathan Yee.
To my friends, enjoy the bay. I'll miss you. Much love. Also thanks, Mom and Dad.
Emily Yeh.
Thanks for the laughter, memories, and friendships. I hope all of our paths will cross again.
Kevin William Zhang.
4 years later, and I still love chickens.
Lydia Ziso.
So long, and thanks for all of your support. Plus, Delta and Tohigli.
That's it, you're done. Congratulations, class of 2019. This concludes the 14th commencement exercises. I hope you have enjoyed today's ceremony, and I'd like to invite everyone to join us for a reception on the Oval and in the dining hall.